This is Scott with eTrailer, and today we're taking a look at and installing our Curt 4-pole wiring harness for our 2021 Audi Q7. Our 4-pole wiring we have on our Audi today is going to be essential if you ever plan on towing or if you have any accessories that have lighting, like some of your bike racks or cargo carriers will have accessory lighting for those. What it's going to give you, it's going to give you all the signals you need. It's going to give you your taillights. It's going to give you your stop signal, your left turn and your right turn signals for your trailer or your accessories that you have on the back of your car. Another thing about this setup is it's all wired on the inside of your Audi except for your power wire that runs forward. This isn't one that's going to be hanging out down here with your receiver. This will be tucked inside, so this isn't going to get all the corrosion or, torn up by the weathering like it normally would if it was down on your hitch. This is going to go right in the back and tucked away. So that way, especially if you're not using it all the time, this is real nice. So you can just hide this away if you want to. You can have it in the back if you need it. Say you're using it once in a while. Say you're not using it at all for a season and you just want to get it put up and away. All you have to do is just tuck this in the back with your other accessories and it's stowed away and you won't even know it's there. So if you have any questions about this wiring, feel free to get a hold of us here at eTrailer, or you can leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. As far as installation goes for this is very difficult. You're going to be doing a lot of testing for wires. You're going to be pulling a lot of panels out and hunting for different wires that you're going to have to hook up to. So it is really tricky. If it's something you don't feel like tackling yourself, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get something done for you locally. If it's something you want to do yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, we're going to want to get behind this panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by getting our cargo floor out of the way. Just want to pull that back, set that back out of the way for now. Now I just want to get this cargo hook out of the way. It's going to pop up underneath that, and underneath there is going to be a T40 star bit. Just going to lift that out of the way. Now we'll go ahead and get our rear threshold out of the way. Just want to pop up underneath that with a plastic trim tool. Get that to pop up and start. Now I'll just carefully pull up on our threshold. Now we can get that out of the way. Now we need to get our panel pulled back a little bit and just want to kind of start pulling away from the side. Carefully get that to pop back. Now I did pull this back enough to see that right behind our panel we're going to have this loop, and up behind that there's going to be a fastener. What we want to do is get behind that little door and get that to pop out. Now we got that plastic part popped off, and behind there is going to be a T25 Torx bit. Be careful not to lose our screw. Now we can get that pulled back and give us a little more room to work. Now to get this pillar pulled back, we're going to have a T25 right back behind here. Careful not to lose our screw. Now keep in mind, before you do any testing on your wires, your hatch is going to have to be closed. So we tested our wires with our hatch closed, and we have our gray wire, which is going to be our left turn signal, our yellow wire, which is going to be our marker lights or our tail lights, and we have a black wire with a purple stripe. That is going to be our right turn. Now we have our box, and on the front of it, it's going to give you your list of what everything is. We're going to have our white, which will be our ground. We'll have black, which will run out to our power. We'll have our yellow, which will be our left turn signal, and our green, which will be our right turn signal. Now we're going to get our box mounted up, and we'll show you how we got that mounted as soon as we get it in place. Now we went ahead and got our box mounted back in out of the way on the side of a plastic panel we have there. Now we're going to start with running our yellow wire to this gray wire that comes out of our harness. Now I went ahead and cut our gray wire. This is where we're going to make our connection, and I have both ends stripped off. So I have my yellow wire. That's coming out of our box. That's going to go for our wiring. We're going to connect those two together. Instead of using a splice connection, since our wires are so thin, we're going to use this method instead. Now I'm going to take a heat shrink butt connector and crimp that onto my two wires that I have together. Get those crimped in place. Now I'll take that wire and connect that to my wire coming out of my harness. Now we'll follow that same procedure with our green wire and our brown wire to our corresponding wires that we tested in our harness. Now since we're not running our red wire to a brake circuit, we're going to ground this with our white wire because we're only running a 2-wire. We get our brake signal and our turn signal from one of our wires that we hooked into. So we don't have to run a separate brake circuit to our red, so we will be grounding it with our white wire. Now we went ahead and ran our red wire and our ground over here right to this panel, got that in place. Now I'm going to take our black wire and just going to get a butt connector connected to it on one end. Get that crimped in place. Now we had a grommet in the floor where we put our black wire through. All I did is just take a Phillips screwdriver and push a hole through that. Now I can put my grommet back into the floor. But before I do that, I'm going to strip off an end of my wire. And hook that to the power wire coming from our box. We'll just get that crimped in place. Now we can slide our grommet down and get that put through our hole on the floor. As far as our routing goes, we came from out of our grommet, ran across underneath, and we tied off to our cross member that goes across. Now when you're doing this, you want to make sure you're staying away from any of your suspension components. And we ran over top of that. We ran over under our heat shielding, over here, came across, and then we jumped over and went underneath of our rock guard, ran all the way up, made our way around the outside, away from our suspension components, came up, and then we went in a hole in the frame up by where our shock mount is, went in, tied off the brake lines there, and ran up underneath of our hood. Now we had to run our wire down the driver's side and then up under our rock guard and then up. We ran it up and over through here. Now when we did that, we had to keep away from the steering shaft on our driver's side, so we had to go in behind some shielding and then in through a hole kind of near where the shock tower is and go through there and tie off to a brake line and then run up from that. Main goal was to keep our wire away from any heat sources or moving parts. Now we ran our wire across back of our engine here and kind of tucked our wire up behind, came around with it, ran over, and now we made a connection into the second post down in our 12-volt access spot. We know this is 12 volt because this is our jump start location. We do not want to hook up to the 48 volt battery connection point or the battery in the rear of the vehicle, because if you do not want to hook up to the 48 volt, you want to make sure you're going to your 12 volt source. And from there, we put our fuse in and close this up, and I am going to come back through and heat up our heat shrink and get this sealed up. But now we can test our wiring and make sure all of our signals work. We have our lights on. We'll do our left turn. We'll do right turn. We'll do brakes, brakes with right turn, and brakes with left turn, and all of our lights are working. And you will want to make sure and check your lights with your hatch closed. With all of our lights working, we'll go back through and get our panels put back in place. And that was a look at our Curt 4-pole wiring on our 2021 Audi Q7. I'm Scott with eTrailer, and thanks for watching.